Hi everyone, my name is Evan Rachel Wood. I am an actor, a singer, occasionally write a column for Nylon magazine. I am divorced. I am also the mother of the raddest 3-year-old boy. Also openly bisexual. Not sure why, but I woke up today with a desire to reach out and send a message to the LGBT community and to other bisexuals around the world, to anybody else listening or that's curious. Maybe shed some light on some of the mystery, I guess. First of all, I've had it up to about here with all of the misconceptions about bisexuals and bisexuality. There are these letters that represent these groups, but a very small amount of letters to represent a very, very large spectrum of people and sexuality. There's so many gray areas in this world, especially when it comes to gender roles and especially when it comes to sexuality. 4 little letters for the whole spectrum of queerness. I don't know. Whether or not you're gay or lesbian or bisexual or trans, no matter what category you're put into, we're all individuals and we all have our own stories. I'm just going to go ahead and start reading some of these statistics. Nearly half of bisexual women have considered or attempted suicide. They have higher rates of mood disorders such as depression and anxiety. 1 in 2 bisexual women has experienced severe violence by an intimate partner. Bisexual women are more than twice as likely to live in poverty as lesbians, are less likely to be out to their doctors, and are more likely to smoke and have substance abuse issues. The stats for bisexual men aren't much better. 1 in 3 bisexual men has considered or attempted suicide. They are 50% more likely to live in poverty than gay men. Nearly half of all bisexual men suffer from mood disorders, while 1 in 3 has experienced rape, violence, or stalking by an intimate partner, as opposed to 1 in 4 gay men. Bi-youths have a higher incidence of suicidal thoughts and suicidal attempts than gay and lesbian youths, as well as a higher risk of truancy and bullying. Bisexual female youths experience sexual harassment at a younger age than their heterosexual peers. And all I can do is give you my story as a 28-year-old bisexual woman and how I got here, and to see if any of these stats match up. I've always been very gender fluid. I've always worn boys' clothes, but I've also worn girly clothes, and I've always felt like I had a very masculine side and a very feminine side. It just came very naturally to me. I found women very beautiful, and I also found men very beautiful. I'm fluid. I grew up in a really open-minded household. My parents were artists. I wasn't really exposed to lesbians. Not sure why. Well, I wasn't exposed to lesbians that were out or that I knew about, but I'm sure I was exposed to plenty and just didn't realize it. I wasn't exposed to any bisexual people that I knew of or anybody that talked about it. The first time I realized that the way that I thought wasn't acceptable, I think was in 2nd grade, and I kissed a girl in the lunchroom in front of everyone. I was in 2nd grade, so there was nothing overtly sexual about it. It was a show of affection. The whole corner of the lunchroom that I was in did one of these. What's wrong with you? Ew! Like that for maybe 5 minutes. And I looked around and I realized that wasn't okay. And it begins. So after that point, I did not kiss another girl for quite some time, and I did not speak about these feelings with anyone. Let's fast forward a little bit. I was getting crushes on girls a lot in middle school. People that I was afraid to be honest with for fear of losing them. As open-minded as my family was, I was still terrified to talk to them. I kissed a girl, or she kissed me, I would say, when I was 12 years old. It was my first kind of secret girlfriend that I had. I was so terrified, and I ended it. Not because I didn't like her or didn't want it, but because I was too scared of somebody finding out. I think around this time is when I really started contemplating suicide. Because I had no way to express myself, I was also very, very confused because I didn't know that bisexuality was a thing. When I realized and admitted to myself that I was certainly attracted to women, I just assumed that I was gay. If you even had an inkling towards the other sex, you were most definitely gay. Even though I still was attracted to boys, I guess I just sort of wrote that off and thought that the gayness trumped that. And it was, oh, when you're attracted to men and women. And I thought, that's a thing? That's allowed? Well, that sounds like me. But for some reason, that scared me even more because there was nowhere to go. I think I already realized being bisexual or saying you're bisexual was not cute and was looked down upon, was not taken seriously. From where I'm sitting, it seems like when some people come out, they're met with open arms from this community, and even if they're disowned by their family, there's like people out there, there's places to go, and there's people willing to reach out and really help you, sometimes. When you're bisexual and you start coming out to people, you get a lot of those looks. Now, I've just spent my whole life coming to this conclusion and living in fear. Also, a lot of people ask me, why do you have to label yourself bisexual? Why can't you just love who you love? Dude, I totally agree with you. I don't think it should have to matter. I think we should live in a world where labels aren't really a thing and that we can all be one. That's a great fucking idea. We're not there yet, unfortunately. And until we're there, I felt a duty to do what people like Firuza Balk did for me and to be a flare, especially for bisexuals, because there are so few flares. I mean, there's plenty of bisexuals. I was just trying to figure out why bisexuals are more likely to be in abusive relationships. And all I could think of was self-esteem. We're constantly being told that we don't matter. We're constantly being told that our stories do not have value. We're being treated like our struggle and the path and the road that is very long to get to where we are, to the point that we know ourselves enough to say, hey, this is who I am, isn't being recognized. When you're constantly met with judgment and constantly met with people looking right at you and still not believing that you exist, ignoring what's right in front of their face, how are you supposed to feel? You'd feel pretty lonely, you'd feel pretty hopeless. I did attempt suicide when I was younger. Did that have anything to do with being bisexual and feeling like there was not a place for you? Absolutely. I was really scared. And I had no self-worth. If you're not happy with who you are, you're never going to be truly happy. Real peace and happiness, that's only going to come from within. Trust me. I came out to my friends when I was 16 in high school, and that's also when I started sleeping with women. That's right, I said it. That was all well and good. Huge step in my self-discovery. Didn't really explore it much farther after that. I just kind of wrote it off because everyone else wrote it off. It was like, oh, I'm bisexual, like, no big deal. Let me clarify, being bisexual is not a big deal, but the journey to get there should not be discredited. Have I ever been in an abusive relationship? Yes, I have. Do I think some of that aggression came from the fact that I was bisexual, maybe not consciously. It came from, if I had to take a guess, a lack of control. I have experienced sexual aggression quite a bit, more than I like to admit. I will say, I think a lot of that comes from misconceptions and us projecting into the world that bisexuals are somehow these deviant, cheating, promiscuous, that bisexual just means sexually adventurous. I wasn't really fully being treated like a real person with real feelings. That bisexuality was just something I decided that I was one day so that I could go out and make out with women in front of men, or fool around with girls, or to get in with the LGBT community, or whatever I get accused of. When you put our value down in the public, you can't help but seep into other people's subconscious, who will look at us and who will look down on us. You can't expect them to be able to defend themselves when we're constantly taking away their value or their very existence. I've been in relationships with men and women, and most of the time I'm not gay enough or I'm not straight enough. Either way, you're intimidating, and people are constantly worried about losing you. Another one of these bisexual stereotypes is that they cannot be faithful. Some bisexuals are quite happy in monogamous relationships, so I don't agree with that stereotype at all. And bisexuals are just as capable of making that choice as a gay man, a lesbian woman, transgender person, heterosexual, doesn't matter. If you're in a monogamous relationship, that is a choice. And that's all fine. Nothing wrong with that. You know what there's also nothing wrong with? A bisexual that does not want to be in a monogamous relationship. As long as all the adults are consenting, don't make them feel bad about it. Will I ever be fully whole with one person? I do think this is possible. I also think it's possible to be happy and a whole person in an open relationship. Let's see, other bisexual stereotypes. Oh, there's so many. Bisexuals are just confused, and we're just coming out as bisexual first before we come out as gay. Well, I could fit into that stereotype, but I'll take it one step further, because I came out as bisexual and then I came out as a lesbian. And I'll tell you why. Here's the thing. I got a little turned off by men. I came out as a lesbian. And that is because when I came out as bisexual, I started throwing myself into the gay community more. I really, really wanted to explore this side of myself. These are my people. I'm like these girls. I was like, my whole life I've been searching for you, and here you are, and you're like me, and you're listening to the music that I like, and you're dressing the way that I like, and oh my God, and it just made sense, and I thought, oh, what the fuck's wrong with me, I'm gay. Because I felt like I had found a place, there was a community, there were people, there was an outpouring of support when I came out as gay, instead of eye rolls and quickly changing the conversation when you bring up bisexuality. There's not even a fight about it. It just doesn't exist. And if anything, I tried to make a choice to be gay. I wanted to be gay. It was easier. It was easier. I was having the opposite problem. I came out as gay and I was in the lesbian community, and when I realized, you know what? I don't think this is right. I still don't feel right. Why don't I feel right? It's because I wasn't gay. I was bisexual. When I realized that, and I fell in love with a man, I was absolutely fucking terrified, way more terrified to tell the gay community that I think I am actually bi. Because you may as well just tell them you're straight and that you were lying the whole time. The person they knew was not a liar. You know, gay Evan is just the same as bisexual Evan. I just like swapped out a different word, but my personality didn't change. And my attractions to people didn't change. And my love didn't change. Some friends stuck by me and some friends turned their backs on me. And that really hurt. I'm sure I confused a lot of people, but bisexuality is confusing. We're not confused about who we are, but we're confused about where we fit in the world. There's nothing. There's my backyard. I could take you there. I have somehow managed over the years, by being open about my sexuality, met more bisexual people. This took years of being out. Here's the thing, when people say, oh, bisexuals are just confused and they're going to come out as bi and then they're going to come out as gay, because bisexual is just the bridge in between gay and straight, and you need to be on that bridge for a bit before you get to where you're really going. In some cases, totally true. I think a lot of gay people need that to ease into it. Maybe the problem is not that bisexuality isn't real and that it's just a gateway into gay. Maybe the problem is that gay people are using my sexuality to ease into theirs, therefore taking away its credibility. So to wrap things up, if we're looking at the statistics, higher incidence of suicidal thoughts, check. Suicide attempts, check. Sexual harassment at a younger age, check. Mood disorders, depression, anxiety, check. Experience severe violence by an intimate partner. More likely to smoke and have substance abuse issues. What do you think? So, once again, I can only speak from my experience. Am I saying that by being bisexual, you will absolutely have all these issues? No. Am I saying all of my issues came from just being bisexual? Absolutely not. There are many, many factors that come into play when dealing with statistics like this. But I can say it certainly heightens them and certainly makes them heavier and more frightening and more lonely and harder to bear. And I hope that by sharing one bisexual story, we'll start to become real people with real stories and real struggles. And maybe people will start to take us a bit more seriously. I'm sure I've left things out, and I'm sure I've said a few things that people don't agree with. And I think that's also what this is about, to start a dialogue. And I hope this gets people talking and debating, because even if you don't agree with what I'm saying, at least you're talking about it like it's a real thing. And I want to wish everybody a happy Pride Month, no matter who you are. And I'd like to call upon our L, G, T, P, whatever letter of the alphabet. I'd like to call on you to stand by us and to acknowledge us and to open your arms.
The original love.